Every Thursday this summer. We're not doing it this year, we're doing it next year, June 20th.
Okay.
The Ludwig's Corner program.
Sarah, where are we going to be at next year?
Ludwig's Corner.
Ludwig's Corner? Okay.
I'm interested in Chester County Historic Tours.
Okay, folks, we're ready to begin. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming tonight. First order of business is to announce that we had an executive session just before this meeting at 6:30 to discuss litigation. And the second order of business is John. Brian. What did I do now, Ron?
Is your microphone on?
What's that?
Is your microphone on?
It's on. I won't come any closer.
No, I've got a question. You said about litigation. Can you go and provide some information on litigation about what?
I will leave that up to our solicitor.
Yes, this is the Dewey zoning appeal pending in the Board of Common Pleas.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Glad I didn't do anything wrong yet. Anyway, the next order of business is to approve the minutes from the June 4th meeting. Bernie, you want to
I
do
make a
that?
motion to approve the minutes from June 4, 2018 as submitted.
I'll second that motion. Any comments from the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the police report. Chief Swinninger.
Good evening. During the month of May, the police department responded to 227 calls for service, including the following: the arrest of a 36-year-old male for DUI in the 2100 block of Conestoga Road, and the arrest of a 24-year-old male for possession of controlled substance and drug paraphernalia in the 600 block of St. Matthews Road. Thank you.
Any comments on the bridge being out down in Hollow Road?
I have not heard anything on time frame now. So as soon as we know, we'll get it out to everybody.
Great, thank you, Mike. Any, Karen?
I would hope that
Mike?
Microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought your name is Harriet. Okay.
It's very confusing, sorry. I think it would be good if PennDOT would put in some speed bumps on each side of the bridge so that even if people were going too fast, the speed bump would slow them down and we wouldn't keep wrecking our dear bridge and wouldn't have to keep paying for fixing it.
I think rubber bumpers would be just as better too.
Well, I think we
Rubber
need
bridge.
to do more than just keep fixing it and letting it sit out there and get attacked.
Have you had any comments with PennDOT, Erica?
I just know there are elected officials at this point, including Senator Rafferty, are adding it to their advanced bridge replacement program and trying to get this going for us. So they're aware of it and we're trying to get that going. But as far as the timeline, they're in assessment stage right now. Yeah.
They don't always listen to us.
Yeah, maybe there's another fix than.
That's.
No, it's really unfortunate. I know. Very.
Any other comments for Chief Swinninger? Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks. Love you guys.
Next is the approval of the bills list. The township bills list for this month is, for this meeting, is $166,780.32. The reimbursable bills list is $9,242.09. The subdivision utility plan bills list is $1,850. All three total $177,872.41.
I make a motion that the board approve the bills list dated June 18, 2018 in the amount of $177,872.41 as submitted.
I'll second that motion. Any comments from the audience? John?
Out of curiosity, into the final bills list, this is all the past, it was always a draft. There's something different there?
You know, this got printed out for today's meeting is final. It's still draft before the board approves it. So that's just something we'll work through. It's just the way it got
Okay.
printed, yeah.
The next thing, did you approve the $100,000 for the Livingston Fire Company?
Yes.
I didn't realize that was approved. And some of us, like myself, I'm not in that district. I'm serviced by another fire company, first off. And John, you seemed awfully friendly with it. Is there any reason you would recuse yourself from voting on that?
Say that again?
You seemed awfully friendly with the fire company people. Do you know whether you're a member or?
No, I'm actually not, but he's the supervisor in another township. I bought a tractor in 1985 from him.
No, that's fine. Just curious. Okay.
John, who am I not friendly with?
Pardon?
Who am I not friendly
I
with?
don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up. You were on the fire company,
No.
the board or something?
Start a list for him. Start a list for him.
Okay.
Okay, next, Erica, you want to go through the...
John?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, George, you stuck up on me.
Can you just shed a little light on the $800+ in legal fees to review right to know requests, or what that's about?
We had a right to know request related to a few police matters. That's just what it was, and so it went through a couple of channels of
So it's
appeal.
one request?
Yes. So unfortunately, it adds up.
Some of the police right to notice get very complicated. We have to coordinate with the DA's office, and there's various other laws, other right to know that apply.
But in general, you don't need legal review for right to know.
Oh, no.
It depends on the right to know.
Yeah, it does, but.
Some are very
Yeah.
easy, some aren't. Depends on each one.
Sarah?
There's a very small bill for legal for the promenade at Chester Springs. Is it still alive, and what kind of issue would be worth $50?
Erica?
The promenade, that's Pet Narrow, they were asking, they are coming up with a new plan, there's nothing formal submitted. They were doing some preliminary feasibility, and I think they just needed a question answered on sewer. So, some legalities there, so I think that's what that was. So more to come.
Thank you.
Sure.
Art?
Question on one bill, Kimmel, or Let, I hope I pronounced his name right. Planning services for Westminster Township Municipal Complex?
Yes, in last year, spring of last year, we did an RFP process to have an architect on hand to do a building feasibility review. We're in the draft stages of formulating that plan. They provided some preliminary work, a needs assessment on the building needs and the staff commentary and some data they've obtained from this complex to try and come up with some scenarios to improve things for the future. So that's what we're looking at.
Are they going to expand this building then, or?
It's looking at all various options. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
John?
One more question on the
Sure.
contribution of the fire company. Is there any thought to where that money would come from? Did you reduce the budget on roads or some other thing?
It's coming out of the general fund, correct?
Yeah.
Was it in
The general fund is all
Yes.
identified for everything, from roads to legal fees, et cetera. Every dollar in there was, I guess actually in the budget, for the first time ever, there was a surplus
Right.
last year.
Net income.
Yeah, net income was the first time you ever budgeted a surplus.
So was this not in the budget?
Yes, this is in the budget.
It was.
Yes. It was in the budget and capital contribution to the fire companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we have a motion to approve the bills list. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're to the correspondence. Can you go through these three?
Sure, glad to. Based on a few of the contributions made, we received a thank you from the Dorchester Red Knights. They participated in the Festival of the Park Day, and just a nice message here. They're very grateful for the township's support. and they'll be closer to fulfilling the needs of the organization for that. So, and they also, on a personal note, the daughter of Jessica, Nicola, had the opportunity to come here and address the board. It's always a good experience for, you know, the youth in our community to do that. So that was her thank you on that regard. And then the second letter is a thank you regarding the Citizens Police Academy, thanking the board and commending Officer Nick Rubino, one of the instructors, as part of that. And it's just going ahead to say, you may not be aware, however, that Officer Rubino has, among other talents, a bit of a Hollywood gene. He was in doing role play, and this is a program among a few of the municipalities to try and provide an academy so citizens can participate, understand the role of their police department, and contribute, you know, in other ways to be more informed citizens moving forward. So it's a really great thing that Chief is involved in this, and so that was submitted by Joe Yezeski.
Any questions? Brian?
On the Citizens Police Academy, was that posted on the website anywhere of when that was occurring?
I believe it is. Is the chief? The chief has all the contact information for it. I believe it is, but I will make sure.
Are there going to be some in the future?
Oh, yeah.
Similar thing?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's been
because I'll be looking
successful.
for it then. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions for Erica? Thank you, Erica.
All right. Oh, and the third was the letter from French and Hickory Creeks Trust as a thank you for the contribution of the $1,000 for their tour. And they also sent a thank you letter to the police department for their coordination as well to make it a successful event.
Did you hear about their tennis? It was a horrible day weather.
I know, yeah, that was rough, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they did okay, but, you know, it's you do your best to plan and you go with it. So,
I think they had 700 show,
okay.
so that's not too shabby.
Yeah.
No, really, that's amazing, because it was really a
Yeah.
good shot.
The short rides, the three shortest rides got in before the rain.
Okay.
Next is the subdivision land development, Eagle Farms, Toll Brothers requesting a release of funds.
Yes. Did you?
Okay, I make the motion to approve the release of $304,789.95 for a surety bond reduction request number 5 to Toll Brothers Land Development for completion of site improvements to the Ewing tract.
I'll second the motion. Any comments from the audience?
Yeah, has Brian been over this?
Yes, there's a letter from Brian in here.
Reduction from what to 304?
Say that again?
The surety bond?
Yeah, so the surety bond is bigger in a reduction. So I guess I'm asking, how much are we still gonna have as a surety bond after you release this 304?
$32,784.
Well, where's Jim Helm when you need him to ask about the trails?
This isn't that part of the
Which
development. This is
part?
Carriage Home South. Carriage Home
Carriage
South.
Home South.
Yeah.
It's like that Buttercup Road or
You got
something
it.
like that.
Yeah. Yes. That does not have trails as part of that development. The trails are part of the Lennar portion.
Okay, but there are also trails on Toll that Lennar's supposed to be tying into, but there's no trails down there. There's no trail by Sunderland Avenue or behind the Benner
No.
property.
No.
Okay. Doesn't sound like you're holding on to very much. You're certainly giving the big piece
It's
of
for,
change back.
paving was completed, and then I know that there's some pins and monuments and some other work that just finalize it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Erica, you getting a workout today?
It's all good.
You want to go over the number 7, the road paving bid?
Gladly, okay. All right. The board, or the staff, we had put out the road paving to bid once again. We received 3 bids. The lowest bidder came in at $405,137.49. The bidder is Duraco Brothers. They're out of Westchester. They have been vetted. These are good numbers. They're very doable within our budget for Schoolhouse Lane and for Flint Road. So we were pleased with those results. So they were vetted. We looked at everything they submitted, and it is all set and squared away. So therefore, there is a recommendation to award the bid to Duraco Brothers in that total amount, and there's a cover letter for your review.
And this is for a complete rebuild of Flint Road?
Correct.
Well, how much bigger was the bid that was too big?
This is actually $200,000 below estimate.
Yeah, that worries me. But
That's why we had them check that really well. They're looking for projects.
did they give you separate costs for the two roads?
I broke it down. I think Flint Road is just under $275,000. Yeah.
So the smaller portion is schoolhouse, but,
Yeah.
so you can pay them for one while the other's still.
Well, it would be awarded the base bid, which includes both.
But when they bill you and schoolhouse is done and Flint is leaking, then you can pay them for what's done, right?
We'll monitor it.
Okay.
Yeah.
thanks.
Before we get into any questions, you want to make the motion now that we've told them what we're making?
I'll make a motion to approve Duraco Brothers, Inc. as the lowest responsible bidder for the 2018 road paving project in the amount of $405,137.49.
Thank you. I'll second that motion. Any comments from the audience? Brian? Jane, you're next. That's not Jane. No, I apologize. That's for, you're in Jane's seat.
How much was the prior rejected bid approximately?
What I can tell you are the two that we had submitted with this bid are just around 500. I'll tell you, I have it right here. Is it better for review? 554,000, and then the next highest was 615,000.
Okay, it doesn't really answer the question, but okay.
Let me take a shot at it.
Okay.
The paperwork on
Yeah.
the bids was not complete.
Yeah.
Therefore, we had to shout, either accept the next highest bidder or refuse them all because of the paperwork. Is that correct, Joe?
No.
Joe's going to clarify.
We rejected all bids based on price. We didn't declare anyone's bid.
That's what I meant to say.
Okay. What changes did we make to the bid between the original and the current bid?
Clarification to the way the bid documents need to be filled out properly.
Okay. And how long is the paving section approximately that is being done on Flint Road?
I have those figures.
How long, time or distance?
Distance?
Let me grab it for you. I want to just throw a number out there. I think about a little over a mile. So.
A little over a mile, and that was like $212,000, you said?
No.
275.
Yeah, about 272,000.
272,000 for approximately a mile.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have some general comments about Flint Road.
I apologize. I have a hearing problem, and that's where we have to use these.
I have some general comments about Flint Road, not really about the $275,000. I don't know if you want to hear them now or later.
Now would be a good time.
Okay, so here they are. I'm Ellen Scott. I live on Flint Road, one of the 5 residents of Flint Road. We've spoken on it. Flint Road is quintessential West Vincent Township, Chester County. It's surrounded by preserved land on much of both sides, done by Natural Lands Trust and me and my family. It's the site of the oak tree. I'm told it has some of the first growing crocuses in the township. It's the future home of the Natural Lands step-off point for all their trail system. and Short Flint Road is beautiful. But it has issues. It has a blind hill where you can't see cars coming over towards you from either side. Why there hasn't been a giant crash at the top of that hill, I don't know. One of the houses on Flint Road, mine, has a blind driveway. I've pulled out in front of people. I don't mean to, but I can't see them. It has a history of speeding issues. I think the police have clocked cars there at my request. I'm sure that they were going faster when you weren't there. Although I do note that one of the cars was clocked at 60 miles an hour. The school buses, I would add, go at a pretty good clip. My house shakes when they go by on Flint Road. And the best part of Flint Road is its complete disrepair, because everybody's slowed down and the volume of traffic is significantly less right now. It's a pleasant place to be. But I understand that the township feels that it needs to fix it. I've talked to that poor guy that's out there running that crew so many times he's ready to escape me as quickly as possible. But when the road is rebuilt, the traffic's going to increase and it's going to go way faster than it was before. And I fear there's going to be a bad accident on that hill. And I fear that I'm going to pull out of my driveway and get clobbered. And I fear that unless the school buses get rerouted, and I would note that there is not one school-aged child on Flint Road, yet tons of school buses go down it, that they're just going to go faster than they already go now. And I'm telling you, they go quickly. And I worry that people who are walking and biking and use that road as a recreational place, and know that's going to increase dramatically when Natural Lands Trust is in full swing. I worry that someone's going to get hurt because people are going to go so fast when this road is repaved. So what do? I say, don't fix it. Save some money. Well, all the people who live on Flint Road would love that. But I don't think that that's something that is a viable solution from your point of view, although there was talk about trying to make Flint Road private many years ago, and I wish that had come about. But if you don't fix it, please put in some means of controlling the traffic and the speed. I mean, it's a bucolic piece of the township.
Before you continue, can I just address that point? Mike, if and when Flint Road is paved, can you monitor it and recommend a couple speed bumps that might be beneficial in the area and in placement, so if it helps slow down before a particular driveway or hill?
I talked to Mrs. Scott, yeah, absolutely, we were planning on doing that, so.
Good.
Well, the reason I'm here is that I've been told that absolutely this township will never put a speed hump on any of their roads because for some reason it's a problem with the ambulances that, well, don't go there very often, but maybe they would have to. It's a problem for the snowplows, and that will never, ever, ever happen in this township. To which I say, what about all the other townships around that have speed humps as opposed to speed bumps? I've learned the difference. So if you're telling me that you're putting in a speed hump or two on Flint Road, I will be thrilled and go home. But the word from the guy who's running the road construction crew out there is that that's never going to happen.
The temporary speed bumps that we put on South our schoolhouse can't be left out in the winter. Correct, Mike?
That's correct.
So they have to reinstall it, and it is installed now.
Yes.
Well, what about those kind of speed humps?
You can do elongated.
And leave it up all the time.
We'll worry about that when it gets.
So do you need to add that to the budget for this paving?
That's small potatoes compared to.
Yeah, but if you put it in the budget and you put it in their bid, or you add it to their bid or award, it might actually happen.
We're so far behind the 8 ball, I'd rather not have to rebid this.
Okay, so
But it's worth adding it to it. We don't have to rebid an add-on.
I would love to have some kind of statement that in fact speed humps would be considered and are potential and would go in.
And part of the issue that I have with precluding it now is you're doing it, and you might end up redoing it again because you picked the wrong spots or the wrong thing. So I'd rather see the road built where the problem is and address it and then fix it.
So I'm looking for a little more.
If I can just jump in
Yeah.
here, I live on Beaver Hill, and so when I
Okay.
leave Beaver Hill, I come,
Right.
Flint is an extension of Beaver Hill, and I would say that 90% of my trips out of town are down Flint
Right.
Road, so I'm in your corner 100%. I'm acutely aware of all the problems there. I mean, it's just not wide enough oftentimes for two cars to pass. Now that they have widened it, that seems to have resolved it, but there are some other safety concerns. I number one, think that the speed limit should be no more than 25 for the whole length, and around the hairpin turns, which are completely blind, it should be 10 at the most. That all said, we could probably do that with just a stroke of a pen, but enforcing it becomes an issue. And I don't, I would want to comment on how that's to be done.
Right.
But I just give credence to everything you're saying because.
Thank you. The one other concern, I'm sorry to take up everybody's time, just personally, the widening has gone on and has come to a stop where it's no longer a quote subdivision because it's not surrounded by green co-ed property. Coincidentally, that's 3 private residents, including mine. I got notice of this on Friday. My neighbors haven't been home till this weekend, so they would probably be here if they had gotten a more appropriate notice. But I don't know how wide the road is going to be. I know where my property lines are, but I can't, is someone going to tell me here's where the road is going to go? Because the road crew isn't doing it. They're just telling me, look, if you got plants you like, I'm the one with the garden. If you've got plants you like, you might want to move them. And that's not really a satisfactory response. I've got big trees on one side and a long garden that goes along the road.
Erica, you want to address that?
Yeah, the road crew on those specific, issues are going to be with property owners. That's why that notice went out about that. Now, as far as widening, of course, nothing is outside of the road right of way.
Right.
Nothing, it can't be. But that's, also part of just providing a safer roadway in general.
Yes,
so I understand.
So I think the property owners, where it hasn't been widened yet, would like to know what the dimensions are going to be and how much of our property is subject to being taken.
Wow.
And then we know whether there's something we should be doing or not. Number one. And number two, just another thought out there, speed humps would be great. Posting it should be slower than Kimberton Road, for God's sakes. And it's not right now. And then the third thing might be where the road narrows, to consider a yield to the right of way, so you don't have to make it so big that it gets such speed. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Where are we, Bernie? You made the motion.
I made the motion.
I second it. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the road turn or chip and seal bid.
I make a motion to reject all bids for the 2018 chip seal project due to price.
Erica, you want to explain this one?
Sure. We have received one bid. Price is much higher than what we had budgeted. So we do not feel confident in going forward with this recommendation, or it's not a recommendation, our recommendation is just to reject it at this point. It's not a great time of year to try and get it back out on the street. We can certainly reevaluate other road projects given the fact of our budget. We certainly want to watch for any change orders or any issues within our budget, but it may be a possibility to just reconvene and look at another project. Maybe wait till next year to do chip seal, but it's unfortunate, but it's just the numbers were much higher than what is really appropriate.
We talked a week or so ago about finding another paving project in that same dollar figure about. Any luck on that?
We're looking at a few options,
And we gotta make sure that there's a time frame to get it done this year.
Yeah.
Bernie, you had a comment?
You need a second.
I second.
Oh, I didn't hear. Sorry.
I might have missed it. Sarah?
Which roads were in the township bid? What is it that we might be putting off now?
I have a list, Sarah, let me get it for you, because I don't have it right here at my fingertips. So, thank you, Dan, sure.
Any other comments? Seeing none. All those in favor of rejecting the bids?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the Township Finance Investment Plan. Erica, again, you're up.
All right. Okay. Seeing that right now we're working on, we certainly have a discussion in the future about planning for proceeds of the sewer sale, but we have funds on hand, and funds on hand are held at D&B First Bank, in addition to the majority of the township finances and funds. We are doing our due diligence, the number of options, looking at, we had met with Pelham Financial Management, who assisted us with the sewer sale, and discussing, how do we, for right now, in the short term, take advantage of moving some of that money so we can have some yield of investment with some interest rates at other banking institutions. So one that is a very strong institution for local governments is Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Fund, Pliget. We do right now have accounts set up there, mainly for our liquid fuels funding, but they have very competitive rates for their CD program. Just as an example, if you would do an entire year, it's 2.45% yield on that, 180 days, 2.25. So when you're looking at that, we can really, we could make some money off of the money while other planning continues. So tonight, what I would be looking for is just authorization to put together a proposal with Pliget. Paul Robinson is our contact there. He's very good. Sit down with me, go through, and have it itemized and something to present to move forward on a 6-month or 12-month basis until we would ideally want to approach this with an investment policy that is gives us a laddered approach so that we have enough liquidity that we can do projects over time and that we get enough yield off of the money we have at the same time. So we want to be able to, do both. But for now, we have money sitting over at D&B, we can make some money off of that in the short term. So that's what we're looking at.
So just in general, just making these numbers up, you're looking at approximately taking a couple $1 million and putting them in a 180-day fund,
right,
and another $2 million or some number
right
into a 365. And
right.
I think you told me a few days ago or a week ago that just that 1%, it is a 1% increase, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's a little.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that.
It
turns into some real tar and chip money.
Yes.
Any comments from the audience? What we're going to do tonight is just make the motion to allow Erica to proceed in setting this up, but we're not going to approve the funding of it tonight, correct?
Right.
That'll come back at possibly the next meeting?
Correct.
And we'll have a dollar figure and where it's going. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the township manager to proceed with the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Fund.
And I'll second it. Any comments? Joe, do you think this is we're involved with other townships, this is a good idea?
As a very temporary measure.
Yes. Better than what we're getting now. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we're done the agenda, so we're to the public comment of non-agenda items.
Go ahead.
John, he yields to you.
Pardon, John?
You're up.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the financial side here. I made some notes. First of all, I think every meeting should have a treasurer's report. I very rarely go to a meeting of this nature, and there's not a treasurer's report to speak of it. And so I would suggest that at least once a month, there's some brief treasurer's report about expenses or cash balances, etc.
I'm embarrassed to say I never thought of it, you're exactly right.
And the next thing, I think that the township publishes financial statements, but they don't publish a current month. They used to, and I understand there was a comment at one meeting that they hadn't figured out how to do it yet, but without current month activity, I don't think you can do any credible financial review of your activities. And to further that, in the month of May, I don't know if you have any idea compared to budget how you did, but the township was $650,000 worse than budget for that 1 month. And to put that maybe in a little bit of perspective, in April, I think the total expenses were $350,000. So here's a month where $650,000 worse than budget, and you wouldn't know it because we never did a 1 month budget or a 1 month statement. To explain a little bit, some of it was a budget timing problem, I suspect, with real estate taxes. But there's some other issues, and one of the things, I did a 1 month budget, and I sent it to Erica, and I don't know whether anybody else have it, but I can give it to you if you want.
Sure.
I have 6 copies. Do you want one?
Thank you.
Did you bring yours?
I didn't bring it, but I have it.
Same with you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want some copies?
I don't want it to pressurize you.
I'll take it. Okay, this, you can see on this first page, one of the numbers, that it was 640,000 worse than budget, dropped to 650,000. And then another thing I noticed, for instance, where it says interfund transfer sewer, it looks like we paid $11,500, we transferred it, but it doesn't show up in the sewer budget as being received. It doesn't show up as anywhere as being received. Is there some issue there?
So we're gonna meet this week, right?
Pardon?
We're meeting this week, correct?
Yes.
Yes, right.
Okay.
The current report, I agree with you. I agree with you. The transition proves hard for somebody that started April 16th. So we're working together to improve these things. The current report that's out just gives the month right now, and it gives that percentage per month, that proportion of the budget. It needs to show the entire budget. It needs to show year to date. So I would be glad to sit down and make those improvements, and I'm super open to ideas. So I'm fine with that.
Can I take that a step further? Mike Snyder
Right.
has an interest in it, and obviously John Eldridge does.
Right?
And if you could, maybe sit down with all 3 of you or 4 of you
Fine.
and
Yeah,
hammer it out and get it done.
sure.
You agreeable to that, John?
But
To actually be sitting in with, okay, and make it happen.
Because if I see something like this right now, I need to be fully invested at the table to go through exactly what you're seeing, so we can, constructively work through whatever changes or issues or what have you. Glad to do it. I believe very strongly in putting together, good, accurate information and having it well presented, so that's fine.
because some other comments, like the sale of the sewer, water and sewer came into this budget.
Yeah.
And so it was $4 million, But also in this budget, we have expenses of $100,000 here and there. That's not a true figure. I almost would have suggested if you put it in water and sewer and just collect all your expenses and all your income and.
Because the income, it's gonna be difficult saying that $4 million is in the income, and then you're trying to show performance on the other funds, and, yeah.
And it distorts all your numbers compared to budget. It's gonna distort next year when you compare next year to this year. It's such a significant number here. One other number you notice on here is legal services, where it's $99,000 compared to a budget of $8,000. I mean, those are big, significant numbers. Another comment I would make here that you pick out in a month. In the last 2 months, we've spent $80,000 in water and sewer expenses. Now, if we sold it early in April, we've got and there's no income in April and none in May. There's some small amount, $6,000 of income in May, but there's another $41,000 of expenses in May. And fortunately, I think Erica did do a good job in the bills list by putting some dates in there. So some of that very well explained in that bills list. And then one other comment I would have on open space. The income seems to have doubled by some arbitrary amount. I don't know why it's at $164,000. Normally, it's a steady number, or it's some predictable number. I think that's got to be reviewed. And then it says open space interest, $79,000. On the bills list last month, there was a number of $59,000. And so here we paid $79,000. There's no budget. Maybe we paid it a month early. I could live with that. But the first thing that would occur to me is if we paid interest, we may have paid all the interest, the township part and the open space part. I don't know, that's possible. It's illegal. It's like a criminal offense to use that money to pay for anything else. But the $79,000 is just unexplained. So.
And this is your report of, yeah.
When we meet, we can go over that. That's all the comments.
Okay.
Thank you, John. You'll get back to him on some of those numbers?
Yeah, we're meeting. We're meeting to go through all of that.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good.
Nice segue, thank you, because I'm here to talk about the water and sewer. My name is Kevin Barr. I've been a resident of Chester Springs for the last 20 years. For the last 15 years, I've lived on Westover, so we don't have 5 houses, we have 2 houses on Westover Lane. I bought the property as an abandoned property 15 years ago. Hadn't been lived in for over a decade. And restored it because it was quite important. It's over 200 years old. It is circa 1790. It's got 2 other buildings on there that are over 200 years old. Right. And the lot that I carved out, I originally bought it from Hank and Weatherstone. The lot that I carved out was about 13 acres. Over the years that I've owned it, already I've lost 2 acres of the 13 to easements. And this April, I received notification from the supervisors and from the board that they want to take additional land from me. I found it quite interesting because several of the supervisors here have made a big point about what it means to have eminent domain here in this township. And so it was quite frustrating for me to see this happen. So the basis for this is that the township, through the sale of the sewer treatment center, $4 million, is going to mean that I'm going to have to go ahead and provide an easement because they've gone ahead and established eminent domain. They've condemned my property. And in exchange for that, I'm going to get $5,000, but I'm going to lose the use of a barn. I've got a 4-stable barn on the property. It will not be used for any livestock or any agricultural purposes because I won't be able to put fencing around it. So I was quite disturbed. I spoke with Erica originally when we were doing planning, and I wanted to work through this with the township. Unfortunately, the township had already gone ahead and sold the property to Bucks County, and in addition to that, they had already issued an appraisal on my property, unbeknownst to me. So I guess what I'm wanting to bring up and why I'm here tonight is because I listened to all of you talk about the fact that the legal bills are X or what's going on with transparency, and I can tell you there's not transparency. And as a result, as I said, I'm going to get $5,000 in exchange for losing a 1/4 of an acre, and more importantly, the use of a barn. My property is an equestrian property. I won't be able to use it as an equestrian property, and for that, I'll get $5,000. The township's going to get $4 million, and I'm going to get $5,000. So you probably will see more of this because, as you can imagine, I don't agree with the amount. While I may not be able to stop the proceedings around eminent domain, apparently I need to counsel with one of the supervisors around how to do it, but the reality is it's not acceptable to me, and I don't think it should be acceptable in the township. So just wanted to go ahead and get that on the record. It hasn't been on the record. I think it's very important. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience? Going once? All those, do we have a motion to end the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming tonight.
Do you want to catch up with somebody?
Oh, no, we just are, so there's Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yes, yes. Okay. All right, okay.
Never is.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Well, I haven't already finished with it.
I don't know if you can close it. Get access to it. And eyes are open. Check us out. I just want to write
Thank you.